Welcome to your Family Health Revolution conversation series with Carla, Atherton, and friends, where our HFF family comes together not to tell you what you should do, but what you can do. Take charge of your health. You can do this. In fact, you're the only person who can. This is Carla Atherton, Director of the Healthy Family Formula and host and producer of the Children's Health Summit. And I am here today with a new series called Your Family Health Revolution, conversation series with friends. And my friend today, I keep saying that, I sound like I'm on Romper Room or something, some kids show, but it's Detria Branch. And I'm going to introduce Detria because first, before I join her into the conversation that we're going to have about your body is a temple, food and nutrition, and which is a fundamental for a vital life. So we're gonna really knock it out of the park talking about nutrition today because we both are very passionate about how important nutrition is. And I know you've heard this over and over again: eat well, eat your veggies, and all this stuff. But we really want to discuss why, and inspire you to get in that kitchen and not eat anything less than what's gonna be fuel for your body and for your children's bodies. So, okay, so Detria Branch is on a mission to make holistic and personalized nutrition accessible our men, women, and children can thrive mentally, physically, and spiritually. She's a healthy family formula trainee, a registered health and nutrition counselor, a certified transformational nutrition coach, and holds a master's degree in applied clinical nutrition. Detria has completed a 1,000-year internship to be eligible to become a registered dietitian nutritionist. Her nutrition, 1,000 hour, that's insane. Her nutrition knowledge includes a background in biology, psychology, health coaching, women's health, family health, and more. So welcome, Detria.
Thank you so much, Carla, for having me today.
Yeah, I wouldn't have picked anybody else for this topic for sure. And I love talking. We're way down the road of knowing each other so well. And when she says that she's a trainee, I don't even I'm like, you are. I think that you got this. You're passed with flying colors. You're done the program. But so because she's been so immersed in all the learning and everything we've been doing behind the scenes too. So pleasure to have you today with speaking with me today. All right. So, and is my mic's okay, right? I heard a little glitching when I was doing the intro. Did you hear? Did it sound okay?
It sounds great.
Okay, perfect. I just don't want to be anybody annoyed listening to this recording saying I couldn't hear anything. The mic was going off. All right, good, good. We're all set. So first thing I want to do to introduce and allow, to invite Detria into the conversation is that I would actually like you to share so you're already in practice. She's been, doing this work for quite some time now. And in your practice, what are you seeing regarding food and nutrition and reflecting in your clients' health? What are you seeing happening as the current situation today?
So the clients that I see come in, of course, a lot of them are looking at weight management, weight loss. That's a huge piece.
Yeah.
But then underneath that, there's reasons behind why that may be a challenge for somebody, right? It could be stress related. It could be thyroid related, right? So the metabolism is off in some way, right? But I'll also have people come to me because they're wanting to regulate their blood sugars. They have digestive problems and they want to know what foods can they or can't they eat to figure it out. Adrenal stress is a big one. I mean, stress is 70% of what people come to the doctor for, or rather what condition they may develop as a result of prolonged stress. And nutrition plays a role in all of these conditions and more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And so what are people eating when they come to you? What are you having to help them to shift? What are they eating?
Sometimes people are just super busy and they're not cooking, or they're grabbing fast food, they're snacking too much. Sometimes it is They want that salty foods. They want those sweets, those desserts. They want it after every meal, right? That's like
Yeah.
their finishing piece. Um, there are people who do eat gluten or dairy or certain things that we may associate with certain food sensitivities or allergies that can sometimes also throw off someone's metabolism.
Yeah, and it's so interesting too because when you said like they want that thing at the end of the meal, right? Like, and I think actually some of those things are habitual, and they're like some of them are built into our cultures and our traditions, and like if you were to say to somebody, well, for instance, like my dad, he's from Trinidad, and if you were to say to somebody from Trinidad, like that, like get off the gluten, well, good luck. Like, I mean, most like a lot of that stuff like the roti, like that's a gluten containing product. You can't create a gluten-free version that tastes anything like that. And it's like it's such a so for some people like traditional foods, it's emotional eating, it's what we're used to, it's habitual, and also that habit sometimes, and hey, we can address this too, and maybe you've experienced this in your world, even being like highly educated about nutrition, is that it's the time. You said a lot of people don't have time to cook, or they don't take the time to cook. Like we always have time, we just allocate it to different things, and right. So
Yes.
so there are those challenges there that we're eating in the car on the way to the soccer game, or we're not sitting at the table together. We're all watching a movie, kind of vegging out because everybody's tired at the end of the day. So, what are you seeing for that? Like, those kinds of things, maybe in your own life, or people that are coming to you.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Like for some people, it's habitual. Like a woman who came, I did a presentation for her and we were talking about weight loss, and she's like, "What do you know about weight loss?" But what
Oh,
was so funny, we can foundational health, it's all the same.
yes.
But what was so interesting, it was for her, it was a piece of pie at night, every night, because that's what her mother did with her as a child.
Mm,
So there is this emotional connection, this habitual connection. And so having to work with her, right, would be the goal, is like helping her find something healthier instead, right, that she
yeah,
could have that would have less of an impact, right? Or I have another woman who's like, she doesn't cook
right.
because she doesn't like her food. And
Oh,
again, there's some emotional components behind some of the things that she dealt with as a child, but she's just like, even if I follow a recipe, I just don't like what I eat. I just don't
yeah.
like it, right? And she's always
Interesting.
on the go,
Yeah.
up and down. She works from home, but she was always on the go. She'd be like eating, like going down the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had to work through changing those habits and that mindset so that she was more successful in her mood, her energy, and in her weight loss goals.
Isn't that interesting? I mean, when you talk about that, like the weight loss, and the habits, like those are all like, is that my mic okay? It's actually kind of making some weird noise for me. No, it's all right. It's all right. Okay. Ah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So when I think about that, like sometimes there is that self-love piece. So yeah, I want to lose weight, but at the same time,
Yes.
there's like self-sabotage happening there. There's the nostalgic piece, like of this reminds me of being loved. My cinnamon buns reminds me of my mother's love, and so I think that we don't want to, not have those feelings. Yet you're saying maybe a healthier habit or something that you can put in, not in place of necessarily, but something a little bit better, for you, for your physical body, that will feed your emotional body as well. So instead of relying on the food, you're doing something. You're connecting with someone in a different way. You're talking to them, or if you like to eat things that enjoy, right? Making like a healthier version is something that we actually did a lot of. We made a healthier version. Yeah. Yeah.
I
So
tell people that's the best thing that they could do is let's look at these healthier options. How can we give you what you want, but
yeah.
in a way that's going to be um, really positive for you? Absolutely.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
one other thing about, habits and routines, I have found that yes, when I'm sitting down at the dinner table with the family and we're talking and we're eating and we're doing a complete meal, right? You have your salads, you have your protein, your vegetables, and everything else coming together. At the end of it, I don't want dessert, right? So there's
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm full, I'm nourished. And maybe that nourishment was emotional nourishment,
Mm,
connection, right? Maybe that's part of it. And nutrition, you're getting balanced meal at the table. You're not eating super fast. You have more awareness. There could be so many reasons why eating together as a family
yeah.
can make it to where you make healthier choices down the line too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And then you don't have these unhealthy yeah, you don't have unhealthy associations with food. Like, you actually remember like joyful times when you're eating a salad. It doesn't have to be like the only time I had joy in my life is when we went that once a week to get the ice cream cone. Like, no, like every meal was a nourishing event. Right? Like it mind, body, spirit. And one of those things that we do in our family is, well, not all of us like to cook, but we all are involved in some way in that process. A couple of them like to cook more than others, and but we do that as a family. And I've tried to do that even when people come over. We're around the island visiting while we're prepping. We're doing the dishes together. Like we sit down at the table, even if we watch a movie every once in a while. We intentionally do that. Like we're like, okay, we're going to bring this and we're going to have fun together because we just all feel like relaxing and we don't want to sit in that uncomfortable chair. And, it's intentional, the gratitude around the food as well. I love that. And that's another habit that can actually, you might look forward to instead of going, oh my gosh, I just got home from work. I don't want to cook this. I don't like this. So there are hacks. There are things like crock pots and making like a big bulk thing and having, leftovers are fine. You're still in there together, you know, um, and it's a reallocation of time. When you say like, we all have time, it's just what are we doing with that time that, you know, um, we can decide. One thing, okay, so next, all right, awesome. We got the mindset. We got like, maybe healthy food is actually exciting. It's not like the kids are going, or parents are like, eat your broccoli because we don't want to have food wars. Food wars are a bad thing. We're going to talk about that in a second. But what I want to ask you about with your expertise in nutrition is how does what we eat affect our bodies and our minds? Like, how does it, because a lot of people really don't have the nitty gritty on what like that biochemistry or maybe I don't know what I know maybe the word is fallout the results of what we put in and then how we actually feel in our day-to-day lives.
Oh my God, like nutrition
Mm-hmm.
is from head to toe. That's what makes it so fascinating. And like nutritionists and dietitians can specialize in any of those fields. Like you can specialize and focus on like the hair dietitian, the skin
Okay.
nutritionist. Yeah, because I mean, that's how I got into this. It was because I was challenged with my skin as in terms of acne, my
Yeah.
body in terms of menstrual pain. So
Mm-hmm.
looking at hormones in both the skin, which was affected by food and regulating my hormones. My hormones were regulated also by the food I ate and watching my blood sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So there is yeah, absolutely a whole lot of chemistry is involved in this. And when it comes to this, but we can have your hair, your
Mm-hmm.
vision, your
Mm-hmm.
skin, your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, thinking about brain fog or memory or mood, ADHD, and other focus issues can come to play as well. There's lots of
Mm-hmm.
them, right? We can be looking at heart health. I used to work for a cardiologist, and he was a
Mm.
whole health cardiologist, is what he wanted to be termed as. I learned so much about how sugars and carbohydrates and gluten and thyroid health was linked to the health of our heart.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
it's blew my mind away. Blew my mind away.
Yeah.
Um, Digestive issues, that's a huge one, right? Because of course we're eating
Huge.
food. We need to make sure we can properly chew it, right? Swallow it, so there's a lot of things that go on there. But then once it's inside, it can be broken down and properly sent out everywhere it needs to go to support the normal functioning of our body,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then, of course, our bones, our muscles, um, movement, flexibility, strength. I mean, immune function is huge too. I completed a project all on immune health
Mm-hmm.
and the diet and the nutrients that are involved in that. So really, I mean, and I'm just touching on like some little pieces here and there. It affects you from head to toe.
It totally does. It totally does. And I think that most people kind of get it, that the food, we need the right fuel, right? To run the car. And and so we have all these nuances and things that you've learned about that, this specific nutrient aids in this. This specific nutrient is anti-inflammatory. This new specific nutrient is needed for, healthy brain function, or we need this to create new cells, for instance, right? So, and these things can be, like if you take them in, like bad oils or sugars, they're not good for your brain. They actually create bad, not very good lipids that, to make the cell membrane, right? Like the very building blocks of each and every
Basic.
one of those organs that you were talking
Correct.
about, right? So, but one thing I do want to touch on too is like, and highlight what you said, the mind, because there's so many things that happen regarding mental health, like that not just happen, but people experience regarding mental health that is highly related to not just lifestyle, but also nutrition in particular. So often I'll see someone who comes to me, and especially like teenagers, right? Like who, or, in their youth, and they're maybe not cooking as much. And the whole culture is around like fast food and, don't worry about this. And you're young, you'll live, you're in your youth this amount of time, that nobody's thinking about the future and like what's going to happen when your knees are all creaky and you're 50 or whatever. But, so the whole culture around junk food and youth. And but literally, like I'll see someone will come to me, or their parents will come to me and say, look, like my kiddo has like depression. They have anxiety. Like they have these things, right? As if they descend upon them. And we're looking for something to do about that. And literally most of the time, even going through a complicated health history and all this, it literally boils down to like, get that kid needs some sleep, that kid needs some exercise, and that kid needs to, well, connect with people and all that stuff, and also reconnect with their food. Their body is a temple, right? And that food, because I will see someone like literally, if they did that, they wouldn't be depressed. They wouldn't be anxious. Their life would open up in ways that they never thought possible, because they're not realizing the power of what that fuel gives to them or takes away, right?
I
Yeah.
agree totally. Because when we're looking at food, it's either you're eating fast food with lots of fat or
Yep.
lots of sugar,
Yep.
right? But then there's people who want to diet, and no, I don't encourage that for young children at
Hmm.
all, or even adults when we're looking at low fat, because your brain is composed of fat. Your nervous system has fat surrounding all of your nerve cells. So if you're going too low fat, you're going to affect how you think and function and communicate, because you don't
Hmm.
have enough of the building blocks your body needs,
Yep. For
you
your
know,
brain.
or
Hmm.
hydration,
Mm,
water, too much soda. Your
right.
body has to work to filter all that out, but your brain needs clean water
Yep.
as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of kids aren't drinking a lot of water. Like some kids aren't, and like it's just not something that's thought about. And it's so simple, right? So simple.
It is.
Yeah, it is. And so, okay, so let's get to what are some good foods? What are some good foods that or like, I guess like the foundation of a good diet? Because as we know, you and I know this, we're all bio-individual. We all have different bodies. We all have different needs. Not everybody's going to do as well on beans as, the next person. And some people don't need as much protein, and some people don't want to eat meat. And there's lots of different nuances, right? Some kids are a little pickier than others, so you have to be creative, making some smoothies instead of like, with some greens in it rather than the salad, because that one doesn't like salad. Like there's lots of stuff that goes on in a family. But like foundationally speaking, what is it that, not what should we eat, but literally what is it that is most conducive to an optimal diet for the best health for you, for children and adults, Ditria?
All right. So generally it's going to be like 8 to 10 cups of water. And that's again based off of activity. It's hot right now. So,
Right,
you
right.
know, we're going to want plenty of water, to help you, but if you're exercising, you're going to up that as well.
Hmm.
Um, and there's ways to get that, flavoring it with like ginger, cucumber, lemon,
Mm,
um, There's some
Lime.
sparkling beverages out there. We use essential oils. My son loves that. It's fun. So we're always getting in fun ways to get water, but also just drinks it straight. He's 7, so he drinks it
Right.
straight. But then that foundation, honestly, it's a plant-based diet. That
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean you cannot have animal proteins, but the studies show that what we need is the nutrition we get from plants,
Mm-hmm.
because you're getting your vitamins, you're getting your minerals, you're getting your fiber, right? You're getting your phytochemicals. You might look at them as like antioxidants that help bring down inflammation, or
Yep.
they help to support healthy blood sugar or healthy immune function. For example, that comes from plants.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what diet you believe in, you know, you eat animal protein, you don't, you go 100% vegan, you need to get quality foods in, and those quality foods definitely come from plants. Even our good bacteria, right?
Yep.
Also known as probiotics,
Yes.
they rely on the fiber from plant foods. So
Mm-hmm.
if you want to care for them in your temple, they need nutrition too in order to care for us, which is
Mm-hmm.
their job. It's to
Mm-hmm.
care for us. They need those phytochemicals, all those different colors from the fruits and veggies, right? The
Yep.
reds, the yellows, the greens, the purple blues, all of those play different roles in the body. So helping you with memory, helping you with blood sugar, but they feed your good bacteria. So when we eat right, we're also taking care of the good guys in our digestive system, for example, as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then from there, it's very individualized. You may be one that can do well on a full whole grain diet. You may be one that does better going gluten free,
Yep.
right? And of course, you have all your starchy vegetables as well. And you want those, they're a little bit more fluctuating with blood sugar, but they feed your good bacteria. So starchy
Right.
vegetables would be for sure like your carrots and your potatoes, for example. You want those. Like I mentioned, if you're incorporating animal protein, great. If not, there's mushrooms, there's beans and legumes, there's nuts and seeds. There's a lot of ways to get protein in that's complete for you as well.
Yep.
And of course, we deserve a little yumminess, right? So I like to look at fruits as a form of yumminess. I love looking at dark chocolate,
I love
you know, as a,
chocolate. It's a
yeah,
staple.
and that has a lot of health benefits. So if
Yeah.
you can do chocolate,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And so I work with people on finding the right diet for them, but
Yep.
making sure we can plug in all those important pieces as best as possible, but working with them on tracking how they feel after they eat a meal, making sure it's balanced,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's too imbalanced in their blood sugar, there's that anxiety, there's that trouble
Yep.
focusing, there's
Yep.
that low energy, right? Also looking at maybe doing some food sensitivity testing if they need to. And of course, there's some up and down feelings on that.
Yep.
The gold standard is always to avoid, but I look at it as a way of, if they're just not going to do a blanket elimination diet, or some people need a little extra coaxing to avoid, then
Yep.
there's genetic testing, there's sensitivity testing, and there's a whole bunch
Mm-hmm.
that we can do to give them a foundation to kind of follow and see how that works for them as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Mm-hmm. I think we missed one thing. Healthy
Hmm.
fats.
Yes. So the healthy fats, I'm a huge fan of this. Example, like I mentioned, the low fat. I have this, and people are on certain drugs, which is designed to regulate our cholesterol levels, right?
Yeah.
But our brain is composed of cholesterol.
You need the cholesterol. The
We
cholesterol is there
need
for a
that
reason. It's
cholesterol,
protective. It's protective.
right?
You got to go back to the source. What's happening for the body to create the cholesterol, rather than take away the body's defense mechanism of the cholesterol. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
We
And I've
need it.
had, clients who come to me and they're like, I'm really foggy with my brain. And I was on this medicine and it just killed me. And I'm like, well, that's why, that's the
Hmm.
problem. You have to make sure that you're watching what you eat, but also the medications take nutrients from us too, deliberately
Yes.
or as a side effect. And
Yes.
if it's too much, some part of you may not function well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Completely. Okay, couple things I want to pick up on, pick on. The bacteria you said, it feeds these starches feed the bacteria. They're also even like living food and raw food, like salads and vegetables and whatever else. They are the vehicle for which by which those bacteria get into your digestive system. So it's like a one-stop shop. So we could like supplement and do all these kinds of things and try to put together like this nutritional profile, but it's not the same as eating the whole food because you get those gut bugs too, like the bugs that reside in the gut to actually help you to digest that food. They break it down, they create they into the vitamins, they help with the assimilation. They do all of that work where we could actually not even do that work ourselves. Actually, they're essential for that process. So they're a vehicle for that. So that when you eat that whole food, everything is there, the fiber, the right amount of carbohydrates, not overly. When you have like juice, which is like five, or a cup of juice is like five oranges. What kid sits down and eats five oranges? Like, no kid. It's like a main line of sugar, and then they crash later. So blood sugar, I like that you mentioned that, because that's so important to be have the even keel, and that's like a whole foods diet, right? Exactly what you're explaining. I just want to
Yes.
tell you some. Oh, oops, sorry, I touched my mic. Um, I had like someone said to me the other day when I was saying, okay, like, can you try to get more, fruits and or vegetables, more so, but some fruit, like, some vegetables into your child's diet, and try to sort of like, up that as we go day by day. And he said, well, don't we need like, and I think it was like pretzels he was eating every day, like a doughy pretzel like in his lunch, and I was like, and he's like, that stuff isn't going to give you what you need, like the fruits and vegetables, because and I think what he was thinking was that a good meal is bulk. It's bulky. It will make you full. And I'm like, no, it's high nutrition. It's those superfoods. It's
Mhm.
the stuff like you said, the rainbow, like of food that you were talking about, Ditria, all those colors, the phytonutrients in them. That's what, and you're satisfied when you said, like, I think we talked about nourishment. I think we did. And you're satisfied at the end of that meal rather than feeling like you need something to bulk up so that your stomach feels full.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, where you're going to feel nourished or energized, at least for myself, it's
Yep.
getting that water in. It's getting my fruits and my veggies in. I feel more energized,
Yeah.
right? Of course, sleep helps, exercise helps. But if we're talking about the meal, what I need
Hmm.
for food, that's where I'm feeling it. I don't feel energized necessarily when I eat animal protein, but it's important for protein that are important for regulating that blood sugar. So keeping it
Mm.
more stable.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, and fiber, which you get from those plant foods again. So they're all really important in helping to have a more stable blood sugar for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. Okay. And oh, organics. I was just looking at my notes. I didn't want to miss a couple of things. How important do you think, and I have my own opinions about this for sure, but how important do you think the organics are and GMO, like non-GMO foods?
I think it's the pinnacle of where someone should go.
Mm,
But as nutritionists, we want people to eat, right? So it's like, okay, I want your favorite foods, if you can ring it, to be as organic as frequently as possible, because that means that that's mostly clean and free of pesticides and it's not genetically modified,
mm-hmm,
right? And so that's really important because, as you mentioned, if we're going to get nutrition from the soil,
mm-hmm.
if we're going to get those good bacteria, they have to have a really good, clean environment where it's not stripping nutrients from your food.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's the pinnacle. So if they can do it, the dirty dozen, the clean 15 is another way I'll work with people. But definitely, if you're eating your favorite foods, you eat them often. So let's try to get them fresh,
right.
frozen, or canned if have to, organic, so that we're just getting them as clean as possible for you. Start off right.
Yeah, because those chemicals are really well. I mean, there are all kinds of studies and research shown and about how those chemicals are actually causing all of those reactivity to food. So it's not actually the food protein that's causing reactivity. It's actually what's getting hitching a ride into the body because the body's like, well, this is not something I recognize. I'm going to react to it. So I'm going to so it's causing all kinds of disruption in the body's systems that cause like, neurochemical stuff to go awry and hormonal things to go awry and like this hyper response and it's like, no, mayday, mayday, this does not belong. And then the whole pressure and burden of detoxifying all of those things that don't belong. Like of course, like in many elements, and many nutrients or whatever, we don't want too much of anything. We don't want too little. We want a balance. But with chemicals, we don't need any. So
Right.
but so we do have a system where we can detoxify. We do. Our bodies are brilliant, and I'm not here to say you eat organic or you're gonna die. No, I eat some things that aren't because you can't find it or that day you couldn't afford it. Totally get that.
Right. Yeah.
But we hunter gather. So it's like certain places, that that's not going to be as expensive. Or if the bananas are only 10 cents more, per pound or whatever, well, I'm going to spend that 10 cents, right? I just won't buy the watermelon because it's $20. Like maybe I'll eat something else, right? Like I'll leave that one at the store. So there are choices we can make, and I think like non-GMO, I think you can find most things that are not genetically modified, at least. Yeah. If you're reading the
Absolutely.
label, you're finding that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can. And it's so interesting when I read a label for something, I don't know if it was pretzels or something that was gluten-free, but it said made with genetically modified material. And I was like, you're actually
What?
acknowledging that you put in, like, it's
Yeah.
probably soy, right? But I was like,
Yeah.
wow, that's a change of pace, being real with it.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned detox because a lot of people think that means you drink a smoothie and you fast for like 5 days or something. Like they think that's a detox.
Yep.
There's many ways to work with your body, but when I work with someone when they're detoxing, it is giving them nutrition, proteins, meaning
Mm-hmm.
the amino acids involved in the detox pathways. And there's many pathways, just like when it comes to metabolism, there's many pathways, but we need them all.
Yep.
There's pathways for making hormones, pathways for making energy, pathways for detoxing. And if you're starting with a nutrient poor diet, or a
Mm-hmm.
diet that demands a lot of your nutrients,
Mm-hmm.
you're likely to, in the long term, experience some sort of imbalance because you don't have all your B's, your vitamin C, your magnesium, your zinc, your D, a lot of different nutrients that we use. We use them in many different pathways to make sure our body functions optimally. And
Mm-hmm.
so detoxing is a real thing. And no,
Yep.
it's not likely to show up on a liver function test unless it's a really severe issue with your liver. So
Right.
detoxing doesn't necessarily mean that your liver is doing bad, but it can mean you have a lot that you're doing that your liver, your kidney, your skin, like it just can't handle it.
Yep.
And so that's where you need to have those nutrients, a nutrient rich diet to help with that. Yeah.
Totally. So everything you eat during the day is either it could be taking away from your health, right? Making the body like putting a burden on the body, not giving it the right energy, right? It's taking away the energy it needs for repair, regeneration, cellular creation, like to have this optimal physical body, I guess, of health. And then, or it can be nutritious, right? It could be adding to that. And then a step further, like you were talking about, literally a medicine. Like it's literally your food is it could be medicine, like is in like the superfoods, the detoxifying foods, like just having the nutrients in general in that really well-rounded whole foods diet, herbs, teas, like adaptogens, things like that that are like we just add that to our like it's like they've become staples. Like my one daughter drinks like a lot of tea every day, and like there is a tea for like it's so fun to learn, about these things and how they affect your body and make you just feel good, right? So
Oh, yeah.
love that. And I want people to feel inspired about their food. Like it's like I eat that and I go, oh, this is so good for my liver. Or like something like I literally think those thoughts when I'm eating. Or when we sit down to the table, we say, thank you for this food. Thank you for this food.
Yeah.
And just a moment of gratitude. And that moment will lead to you paying attention, like the body awareness. I think we were talking about that too. So, what to me, what I hear you saying and what we're conversing about is literally like, what do we eat? So people come away from that. What do we eat? Well, we don't eat things that make us feel bad. We eat things that make us feel good, and listening to our bodies. So we have the foundation, And then what is it that, how are we going to tweak it for each individual self? So, well, that's what some people call an intuitive diet. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't teach calorie counting or anything. I ultimately,
Right.
my end goal is that people learn how to eat based on how they feel and the
Mm,
messages their body is sending them as a result of what they're eating or not eating. So
mm.
really, I do want them to have that connection, that intuitive connection with their body. So they just know, there's just times when you're like, I would need chocolate. Or there's a period of time where I was just bringing in oregano. Oregano is an antimicrobial. So it's
Yeah.
going to fight bacteria, but it's good for your good guts,
Right.
So you just never know why you're like, why am I craving chocolate? Or there's reasons, right? And if you're craving something not good for you, there might be a nutrient around that we can talk about and give you the
Mm,
right option, the healthy option for you as
sweet.
well.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So I hope that I'm sure everyone's going to come away from this conversation listening a lot more to their bodies, encouraging their children to do the same. Like because like how does that make you feel? And because I did want to touch on that topic of avoiding food wars, right? So if we have this war with our kids, they're just gonna go eat it somewhere else. They're gonna be mad about it when they get home. They're going to feel trapped at the dinner table, like, we got to eat this crappy whatever. So, getting our kids in there in the kitchen with us and, like cooking as a family and enjoying that process, we can really turn that around in families who really are having struggles with this, with the food, what their kids are eating and that kind of thing. And especially if it's a moment where they're making some change. It's like, why can't we go get KFC every Tuesday like we used to? It's like there can be quite a significant change. Do you have any other tips, Detria, for people who are wanting to make certain changes? Any tips at all, whether it be a substitute or a mindset or a practice?
So I think we covered a lot of things, but I like how you mentioned the children because you get them involved in the kitchen, you help them pick out spices that they want to season the food with, right? Or you
Yeah,
help them, or you have them like dig their hands in and make that food. And
grow
then they're
it.
going to more likely want to eat it or
Hmm.
grow it as well. I mean, farm to table or garden to table, it's so much fun. But then working with like children, I find like having them do like a rainbow challenge where
Mm.
once a week they add in one new color, you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
at least, right? So that, and then they can mark it off and they can talk about how they felt and how they ate it and things like that's really fun. And then also, you like chicken nuggets? Great. You can make them at home. You can buy the chicken strips and
Hmm.
then you can bread it with something that's gluten free or with almond coating. And that way you're getting it in a way that's delicious for you, but also nourishing for you as well.
Yep. And that other stuff will take a way back seat. Like once they start doing that and they taste what real food tastes like, if your family is very, kind of like eating a lot of junk food and you want to get away from that, when they taste the real oven fries that you made with avocado oil and like they seasoned them and chopped them up, man, you're not finding that at the bottom of the minivan, squished under someone's foot like you might find a burger from the fast food joint. Like people care, they care about it, they feel nourished by it, and it tastes so much better that the other stuff just takes a back seat. It's like you don't need it. Once you're nourished and filled up, like you were saying, you don't need that other stuff. Yeah. So thank you so much for that conversation. It was really great fun, Detria, and to add your brilliant mind and your thoughts to it. I think it was really going to be a lot of information that's going to be helpful for a lot of families listening. So thanks so much for being here.
My pleasure, Carla. Thank you.
Okay, take care.